like an artist, you see them on MTV, whatever, you get their CD, you listen to their CD, you memorize their CD, you go to their concert, and you go, yeah, and you go, that was great. That is so boring.
Go to an all-night event that is in a different location every time, that, you know, there are crazy lights and mass numbers of people and 2 turntables and a DJ, and everybody is a participant, and they all make up the energy that becomes the party.
Thousands of kids come out, they dress a certain way, they take certain drugs, and they empower themselves in certain ways, and it's not about rock and roll.
What we do is much more about being there, feeling people's vibe, feeling the energy, and sharing that with people.
7,000 kids outside on a mountain dancing.
Woods.
And like bands like Dub Tribe put blankets on the floor, sit Indian style, set up their gear and just play and make it up. It's a feeling that I've never gotten going to any concert.
It's like crazy intense, like explosive feeling that you can only get from this like combination of music and a dance floor.
It's about dancing first and foremost, and it's about bringing people together, and it's about, you know, creating this instant feeling, this oblivion, this like particular one-night oblivion where nothing else outside that room matters.
I went to this one club one night, NASA, and it was just a totally different sound. It was like everything that everybody was listening to, like all the drums were like in the treble range, was like chicka-chicka-cha, chicka-chicka-cha. And like the bass was like one sine wave, and it didn't break. The bass didn't go like boom, boom, boom. We're like, ooh. You know, it was just like such a new sound that I was like, oh my God, this is it.
My name is Frankie Bones from Brooklyn, New York, and I guess I represent a lifestyle as DJ, I guess, meaning, you know, I DJ for a living. The whole thing about the rave scene is that it's not about what I do, it's about the whole culture as a whole. So basically, I play my part in playing the records for the people. This is my life. I wake up in the morning, I eat, I sleep, I shit techno, house, the culture, whatever it is, but I never shut it off for 5 minutes, you know? It's always going on, and always looking to play new records. This is kind of raw, but when I first got out of school, I cleaned someone's teeth out of a urinal to get a DJ job in a club, because that's how you know, to get somewhere, I had to, you know, try to climb the ladder. I started writing songs, and I bought some drum machines, and from there, it was just, in a matter of 3 years, it all happened, you know. I was making records, and people in London that were doing these parties were playing my records, and somebody you put the phone number on the record. Somebody called up, you want to come to England? I was like, I'll go to England. You know, I didn't believe it. And he's like, yeah, you're going to play to 5,000 people. And I'm like, 5,000 people? When we got to the site that night, it was about 2 months after that, there was cars for miles. I was like, 5,000? There's got to be like 10,000 people here. When I got up on the stage, there was 25,000 people, and the sun was first coming up, and that's when I went on. Just to have the control of 25,000 people at once on a sound system, it's just changed my life. My father was murdered in 1985, so he drove a cab and he got shot behind the wheel. I think that's another reason why my passion for music was even stronger, because he was my main inspiration. When I was young, he just had a massive record collection. Like these guys, oh, I'm trained in piano. No, I didn't train in nothing. I just heard my father with records. He had very underground stuff, the old South Soul records. I mean, from the inception of disco, when the Hustle came out and became big in '75, I just, I always knew the music from them. I still have all those records.
No, it's the original, exactly how it came out on the full Winley 12-inch.
I always explain it like, in the movie Saturday Night Fever, he crosses the Brooklyn Bridge, gets into Manhattan, and the movie's over. Well, I kind of did the same thing. We have this store here in Manhattan, but I don't know, it's not a movie to me, it's just everyday life.
Overwhelmed, then that's a good party. If the lighting is coordinated with the music, the DJ knows what he's doing, everybody's in the same spirit, then it's a slamming party, and that's like very, very hard to have all those elements together.
It's the magic mushroom area. This is where we're gonna have large fluorescent glowing mushrooms and black lights. Yep. Carpeting down there, like a little area to chill out.
This is all the drum stuff, the SPD11, the DAWs pads. This is the E4 sampler. And in a second I'll be loading it. This is the TB303 in the laptop.
I just want to make sure that everybody's prepared if they haven't gone to one before, that they know what they should bring and what they should have together.
Swiss Army knife.
I don't give a fuck what happens to me attitude.
Let's see, some essential rave party things that you might want are, first of all, water. You have to have water, always be hydrated, and no alcoholic beverages, fruit juice, soda, water.
Water, Swiss Army knife, a shovel, really works good for getting yourself out of bed. Ready?
You want to wear something that you don't need to hold on to, so you're free to dance. Backpacks work really well, convenient. Wear comfy clothes so that you can get dirty and feel comfortable to dance and sweat. These are love tops, and you want to bring enough to share with all your friends and for all the new people you're going to meet. One time we brought these flashing rings and everybody wore them so we could find each other in the dark. You're not going to want to leave without your sunglasses, because in the morning when you come out it's going to be daylight and you're not going to look pretty.
Everybody came up to me and they were hugging me and they were talking to me and giving me bracelets, and I was just like, I want to go here forever. I just want to be here forever. I never want to leave.
When I first went to my first rave, you noticed this mishmash of people, different people from different areas of the Bay Area, different colors, different, a lot of gay people, all getting down to the same beat. And to me, that was the most profoundly inspirational thing I'd seen.
I was really funny about it. I don't think I'm going to be able to put up with that techno stuff for a whole night. And then I went, and it's totally different. I know so many people who say they hate techno, and I've taken them to parties, and they've come back and just been like, you can kind of groove to that stuff.
I saw, just who are these idiots? I just saw all these, douchebags wearing lycra sock caps and just goofy oversized pants. I was just like, this is disgusting. And then a year later, I heard Derek Carter on 3 turntables, and that just blew my mind.
I never thought it was what it was. You know what I mean? I thought it was just a club type scene with people wearing shiny clothes. That's all I knew about it, but I was wrong.
I would hope that I wouldn't find my daughter or her friends in a place like this.
I didn't know what to expect, but they were very well behaved. We had no problems whatsoever.
It's probably say, like, ideally, when I think of the best, like, most amazing time I could possibly have, I think of all the influences, like music, people, energy, good lighting, big place, and it's all here.
The fact of this music is that if you're in touch with the subtlety of what it offers, then it's empowering to you as an individual, no matter who you are. And that power is spread across the grounds of a rave.
It's an intensity that you can't feel anywhere else.
What do you think about the raves?
I'm impressed. I mean,
What do you
it's
like
something new, and you get into the music. You do get into it.
Why do you think that is?
The beat, the lights, I don't know.
two-car garage that we could illegally convert into a studio. We needed noise cover, right? So right in our backyard is the 210 freeway. So when we're playing music like really, really loud, 3 o'clock in the morning, you can't tell, is that kick drum or is that the diesel that just went by, you know? You want to know, the trick is to get 2 different thicknesses of drywall. What's it called? Sheetrock? Sheetrock.
We were completely inspired by the parties that we'd go to. We were inspired by the whole, the energy the positive energy that came from these parties, and that no matter if you were black, white, Hispanic, Asian, everybody got together and everybody had a good time. I mean, I think we left many a night and went home and were inspired to do something on our studio.
So that's something that was played by hand, just, you know, with the Jupiter 6, because that involved using the pitch bend wheel to modulate the filter frequency. This is called a woolen sack. We call it the swollen sack. It's tube and analog. Totally awesome. You can run it at really super slow speed, which gives you this really great bottom. And then we just totally overload the signal till this really cool light comes on. Well, you know when you see the cool light, we're going to get a good sound. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to tell your parents. They're in a band called the Crystal Method.
I was the one that told your parents what the name of the band was, though.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, accidentally.
So what are they called? What do you guys call yourselves? I told my mom, and I'm like, and we're like going for like a nature walk or something and I'm like, yeah, we're called the Crystal Method. And she looked at me and she's like, we kept walking and, oh, I guess that makes sense. That's what all the kids are into nowadays. Okay. It was one of the things that kind of intrigued us about this house when we saw it was was a little bomb shelter we had in the front. We were thinking, oh, we could put an amp down there, or if it's big enough, we put our studio down there. We had all these wild dreams, and then we the landlady, she was like, oh, I wouldn't go down there. I haven't been down there since like 76, and when my boy used to hide silver coins from his grandmother, and I'm like, geez, whew.
This is what we pulled up from the bomb shelter out in our front yard, and it's a family radiation detector kit, and this is called a dosimeter. It's how badly you've been dosed with
radiation. It's
for everybody.
Function of house was dance, and for me, my interpretation of acid house was to take that further and make it psychedelic and celebratory and positive beyond just music. I just had this feeling that there was some kind of ritual trance music that could be long time based and ecstatic. On Sunday, August the 10th, 1986, we were in Chicago, and I was doing a radio show. And so I basically got them to wire all the different separate rooms in the college radio together so I could use all the turntables, all the cassette players, and all the microphones. And while we were doing that, this young, enthusiastic black guy called Derek Carter turned up. And he said, oh, you've got to go to this shop. I know this shop, you're gonna love it. And Derek May was spinning on 2 turntables while he was also the checkout guy. He said, what are you looking for? And I said, well, I want the weirdest that you've got, the stuff that you can't cope with. I'm only interested in something that's so strange right now that none of us quite get it. And he said, oh, okay, you want the acid stuff? I said, yes, the acid, wow. And over in this little rack were about 4 12-inch white labels. And then I put them in a bag, and when I went back to England, I put them on. What I heard immediately was just that the rhythm, that speed, was the missing link to me. I went, oh, okay, that's it. It's not psychedelic enough for my taste, but the way that this kind of hypnotic beat, this simplified beat, that's it. That's what we need. And that's the same speed as the trance music all over the world. It just all went together, whoomp, like that. We recorded Superman, Turn On, Tune Into the Acid House, which it turns out was the first 12-inch single to have the words Acid House on the label and be released as that, although the phrase was floating about already. It took off in the United States, and its notoriety in and of itself, of it being banned, and of it actually being about acid openly. When most people were going, oh, no, that's just a term, we were going, no, it is about acid and psychedelics. We are talking psychedelic experiences. We're pro this, we're not trying to pretend it's something else.
I did this flyer. I did this flyer. I did this one. And then we have this original dope flavor. When we first started doing stuff, it was like all the really product rip-offy stuff that was really popular, because so much of sort of like the culture at the time was, it's like influenced by like the whole idea of like sampling. We were sampling, visuals and making them our own. This whole business, this was like a Bazooka Joe comic, right? And we like scanned it in, and we just changed the bubbles, so it's really cool. And then we put this NASA thing here because we made it look like a club, because it's like this moon base on the moon, but now it's our club because it's NASA. Ravers are a walking advertisement for bottled water, so why not do, bottled water? So a lot of the things that we were doing were almost like hyping the products that we use in our everyday life as well, like things that were like, that meant something to us.
If you take something like a corporate logo, or you take a piece of commercial art or television, and then you cut it up and reassemble it, in a very real way, you're also emasculating its power over you.
I've completely, you know, gotten inspired from old video game packaging, just like the cheesiness of it or the pseudo high-techness of it, you know, of like old Atari games, like Missile Command and the typefaces they use and the ideas for the way that the interface of the game looks. We do graphic design for everything from party flyers to records to posters. Basically, that feeds into all our other projects, whether we're throwing a party or whatever. But we also run a record label out of here.
So where's the location going to be?
I can't disclose that yet, but it's going to be in Manhattan. We usually, every party we've thrown, we have never put the location on the flyer.
Go to some place and be a warehouse, you wouldn't hear anything and you wouldn't see anybody, and then you go through this fence and you meet some guy and you give him a couple $10 or whatever, and he tell you to go back here, and you go walking through this alley and you go through another alley, and then you hit this door, and then you go into the door and go upstairs.
It wasn't just a mystery thing at first. It wasn't, letting people guess where it's going to be or whatnot. It was definitely to avoid any potential complications with the venue. A lot of times it got to be, unfortunately, about certain promoters wouldn't really know where it's going to be even until the night of.
The rave scene, when we started throwing parties, the whole thing with rave was you broke into a warehouse or you went and you took people and music to a place where it's never been. Like an abandoned warehouse that hasn't had life in it for 20 years, you put a sound system, you put people in there, not bringing it into clubs or glamorizing it as the new club craze. Because the rave scene, when we started throwing parties, and on the West Coast, East Coast, wherever it was anti-club.
People would have to call up to the phone line, which would be just completely hyping up the event all the way until that Friday or Saturday night in a particular time. And then we'd say go to a particular map point, or we'd sometimes send them directly to the site.
You go into the fields, approximately it might be over there somewhere. And us as a band even, we didn't know where to go, so we had to stop the van every 5 minutes, see if we could find any bass drums going on in the distance. And finally, we sort of found our way to the gig.
The directions kind of led us astray, but, after about an hour later, we were here.
Is this the road we came in on?
Come on, dude, go, 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 go.
How long did it take you to get here?
Like 12 hours.
Farthest distance I've traveled is 7.5 hours.
The longest I've ever traveled is like 10 hours.
Anywhere from half an hour till 8 hours.
I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida. Just came up yesterday, and I wanted to see what New Jersey was about.
Just call around, figure out who's going where and who's doing what, and get in the back of somebody's, 71 Cutlass and go with them, and chip in $5 for the gas.
It's not the destination, it's the journey. It just gives you an excuse to get in your car and drive 800 miles, that's all. See the world, see what's out there. Don't just sit at home and watch TV. Go someplace.
The DJ-audience relationship is, again, it's like a symbiosis, it's a biological structure, it's like you are sending out information and pulses that the crowd, in a way, then sends back to you, and like, you're like a focal point of the energy of these gathered people. I'm extremely idealistic, and I also try and really take the crowd someplace and like show them shit. I love the idea of continuous sampling, like remixing everything as you go. So writing is like that visual, just like you're probably going to do edits and cut and splice when you're editing this tape. I mean, you do that with language even when you're speaking. You always are picking and choosing what words you're using, what way you're going to describe something. So everything is a mix. I'm mainly a writer. The DJing, to me, every DJ is a writer. You're using the urban landscape as your book, as your novel, as your text. So everything is writing. me, sampling is like ancestor worship in a way. It's like you're reconfiguring, again, like records that somehow stuck in your memory, and like you wanna take those records and do your own take on your own memory. My dad died when I was 3, and he left me a whole bunch of records. He was a really big jazz aficionado. Well, he was a lawyer, and defended the Black Panthers. I just grew up having this whole archive of records and books that he had left me, and they were kind of ways of like dealing with the death of my father, but like kind of learning out who he had been, through his record collection. My degrees were in philosophy and French lit, but I kept seeing more and more with the music stuff that I was involved with that it was a lot more fun and actually a lot more engaging and dynamic than a lot of the philosophy stuff in a way, because you want to talk deconstruction, you want to talk whatever, that's in the mix at this point. Philosophy is about ideas, music is about ideas to me, so it was a way of just trying to like bring the two together. To me, the DJ, when you're spinning, it's like a stream of consciousness. Here we are in New York City where you can't be discreet. The music is blasting. You have hip-hop Jeeps going down the street with, booming bass. You got kids walking around wearing loud clothes even. You got boom, everything's loud, blaring crazy noise. New York ambient is like, British ambient goes to school and gets shot. Yeah.
They would impound some of my sound system. They would lock me up over the weekends, so don't do any of the parties. I would be surveyed and followed everywhere. I would have county court injunctions against me not to go to Pacific areas. I would have my house raided because they thought that the DJs were selling drugs.
Been at parties where the cops have just come in and thrown the power, and it's not right because they just walk in, they see a whole bunch of kids, they think we're out of hand, they shut it down, but they really don't know what's really going on.
My brother's a cop, by the way.
Oh, really?
He's a detective, a narcotics detective.
Which department? In New York City?
In New York City.
And how does he feel about what you're doing?
He is, we're black and white. He wants it not to happen, and, the cops definitely think it's the worst thing ever to happen.
There were some parties I used to be in, and the police would just come in and just batten the Technics 12s in the mixer, and everything. You'd just be looking at shock horror,
I think it just scares them. Like, you see, 1,000 18-year-old kids on the street at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's like, looking like freaks. It's pretty scary to, Joe, white guy, policeman, who's like 50 years old, and I think it scares them to death.
Because they know there's an inherent danger of people understanding and appreciating alternate ways of being, which is that they could turn around and laugh them out of existence.
They tried to shut down the party at the Federal Building because they thought there was bombs in the bass bins. That the bass frightened them. They thought something was wrong with the sound system.
So if you have people gathering for whatever reason in one place, in a semi-legal way, which means that they have a different bond and they've already chosen to step outside the rules of those in control, then you have at least a potential breeding ground for alternate ways of being and a refusal to accept that imposed from above.
I think what really alarms the government is that it's completely outside of anything that they can put their hands on. They can't make money off of it, they can't control it, they can't sell it, they can't, it's so beyond them that it's a threat.
There's all these new restrictions on gathering. What we've run into in California is you can't have a party on public land. You can have 300 people with motorcycles tearing it up, but you can't have 50 kids with speakers. This one makes drum sounds. Okay, so the drums are going. This is my favorite thing. This is my TB303. It's sort of like my electric guitar.
And it was originally designed to do bass line. So if you can believe it or not, this is supposed to be like a bass guitar here.
Never actually thought I was going to play electronic music until my wrist went out on me playing my drum kit, and all of a sudden I wasn't able to play my drum kit anymore. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And I moved to an electronic kit just because I was able to play it without hurting myself.
I was 6 years old, and I was going to school. My family at that time lived in St. Louis. I went to one of those 70s public schools where you don't have different rooms, you have pods, you know, and everybody's in a pod together. And they had, this lady came to our class with a synthesizer, and she had this, I think it was blue, it was this Moog synthesizer, and it was built into a case. She comes in, puts this thing down on the table, and opens it up, and there's just knobs and sliders everywhere. And I think my jaw hit the ground. I was like, wow. And I was a little runt kid, and she picked me to come up and move the knobs. So I stood in front of the class, and I moved the synthesizer knobs, and I think it made like a bird sound or something, you know, just like these electronic chirping sounds. And I was just, oh, I thought that was so cool.
The whole languageless philosophy is so that the music is not defined by any barriers. Language can create barriers. It creates what you are supposed to think about during the song is, ooh, baby, baby, I love you so, you know, or whatever. But
define baby, define love, and define so.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's a feeling of hope, perhaps, that trying to express, and maybe at its simplest.
And why do you think that's important?
Because it's really a lot easier for me to fall into despair than it is to look up. So the trick is to keep looking up.
There's nothing worse than feeling lonely in a big world out there. I think dance music in some senses acted as a catalyst to just bring people together.
This counterculture operates in a way that is much closer towards how humans are supposed to be working with each other.
There is an implicit politics to the rave scene that people are living their lives in ways which are basically unsatisfactory to them. They're not enjoying their lives, they're not having fun, they're feeling alienated from other people, they don't feel like they have a community. And that people go out to raves and they find, or better yet, are making some of the things that are missing in their lives, in their everyday lives.
Which was always part of our take on it. It wasn't just the experience. The experience was a demonstration of an idea, and that the idea was a way of life, and that it shouldn't just stop on Saturday night. It should be a moment of commitment to forever changing yourself.
It's like a fantasy land. It's like my escape from the real world. Like, the real world is rude and nobody wants to talk to you and everybody wants to take advantage of you, and you go to a rave and everybody just wants to be your friend.
And they're rebelling against being pissed off and rebelling against being surrounded by assholes. So they want to be not pissed off and they want to be nice.
You're bonding with thousands of people that kind of share the same ideas that you do.
It's a place where people all over the world can gather.
There's a great vibe here.
And unite as one.
Here is a place that I can feel 100% comfortable and safe.
There's like almost a feeling of going to a big family party, you know what I mean? Like you have, big holiday parties or whatever, and everybody's just comfortable.
It's like I didn't have to change to fit this certain way. This way sort of came to me and came around me.
You're just like, God, I want to be a part of this group. They're so loving and happy. It's like a family. You can't help but fall into it.
At one point, I felt like I was a raver, you know what I'm saying? I got all into the happy and love, you know? And then, I don't know, it just drove me crazy after a while.
Why is that?
Because, I don't know, you just can't love everybody.
I'd fallen in love with were like the sort of naive sense of celebration, the open-mindedness.
And there's this sort of return to infantilism in the fact that there are some real basic pleasures that just sort of get wiped off the map. We're not supposed to talk about that like people really enjoy.
It makes me feel like a kid again when I was a little kid. I don't need to get dressed real nice or anything. I don't have to impress nobody. It's just my little toys I play around with. This is out of batteries. I put it on the floor and I dance.
This is the paranoid traveling monkey, and I take him on the airplane with me all the time. So
Why is that?
Because that's how I feel when we're traveling. I don't know, it's just like, well, I played a show out in the desert in California, and after the show, this girl came up to me, and she said that her name was the Fairy Princess, and she gave me this, and I still have it. It's very cool.
We like the little candy bracelets, and we carry around stuffed animals because kids just want to have fun, and kids just want to be nice to everybody and just want to love everybody, you know, and that's kind of what we're trying to capture.
It's like that book, Everything You Wanted to Know You Learned in Kindergarten, that guy wrote. Be nice, you know, play fair, hold hands crossing the street, like whatever it is. Like, we're just keeping some of that, you know, and, you know, growing up doesn't mean, you know, becoming a jerk.
Use your imagination other than experience. You did it as a child, you know, do it now. Why stop?
Inside the ever-changing, rearranging sound. We gon' give you alternates. Yeah.
When I was in school, I never really had a focus point. It was more of I was being associated as a troublemaker because my energies were either being, you know, targeted as someone, you know, who was a nuisance. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to read a book which told me about A, B, C, and D. But I got thrown out of school, and I stumbled into a building which I called the Basement Project. This place was like an environment which took people like myself and gave us the option. I didn't have money to be able to buy equipment. And they bought a drum machine, they put it in front of me and said, yeah, here you go. And that's when I decided to use the machine and to learn and educate myself about the language of, you know, making music through, you know, computers.
Front row, can I say? Wait for the signal, wait for the signal, wait for the signal.
But in hip hop, what they would do, have two turntables and a mixer, and take the instrumental break where the record is, you know, just rolling along, and then bam, it just breaks down into just drums. Then they would just take two of the same copies, and using the crossfader to extend the instrumental break, just by extending the drum section so the MC could rap on top of it. And that's what attracted me to live drums, was the break beat. From the heart. We're not manufactured. That's all I can say.
This is what being independent is all about.
Yeah, we're your roadies.
It's about heavy lifting. We're not a glamour boy band, Jesus fucking Christ! We lift our own stuff.
It's like this, it's a whole do-it-yourself concept. It always was, it always will be.
In terms of punk, it's just like anybody can pick up a guitar and play. Well, now anybody can pick up a sequencer and play.
When digital technology became cheaper and accessible, it enabled all of us to be able to go out and for like not many pounds or dollars to be able to buy a tiny little studio setup and start recording yourself. And techno music, in a sense, when it really kicked off maybe 7 or 8 years ago, really empowered people again, empowered a lot of young kids to be able to put their own records out and ignore the major labels and think, we can press 2,000 white labels and sell them in a week.
For the most part, I was making the music just for myself so I could have a tape of it just to listen to, and I happened to play it for somebody at a party that did the DIY thing with his little label in LA. And yeah, it's an amazing thing that you don't have to go through all the red tape, and you can just, you know, print up some records and, you know, shoot them out there and get them all over the world, basically.
Setting up international licensing deals all over the world, and set up distribution deals as well. I mean, you know, all I wanted to do was put my music out, but I couldn't find anybody that could actually truly understand it.
So many things you can do, and it's just being creative with whatever you can get your hands on.
All you need at this point is a computer and some software, and you can make a record.
I can make a track, you know, stoned in my underwear on my, you know, on my bedroom, you know, and it could sound 10 times better than like fucking, you know, $100,000 worth of like studio equipment and studio time and professional musicians can sound, because I can make a sampler sound that good too, you know, and it's like, that scares people.
The origins of punk, which I was fortunate enough to be hanging around as well, there was an enthusiasm for taking back the means of production. I think with techno, we're seizing the means of perception as well.
It is live video mixing, so we have sources of videotapes playing back, and we choose and mix the video live to whatever the vibe of the music and the environment that's happening at the time.
No, I only know one note.
What note is that?
G. We're just finishing a track for the new record. It sounds something like this. I picked up a bass in 1982 and just started jamming along with records and stuff, and you know, I'm still learning. And there's another beat here. Flappy bass, just, you know, different elements, put them all together, you got a song. A track like Electric People is about a phenomenon of, you know, electric people. Someone who is magnetic.
Is there a lot of people like that?
There is in Russia.
How so?
I don't know. They don't know either, no one knows.
They're magnetic, like they draw metal to themselves.
Yeah, they can put irons on their chest and they just stay there.
One night we practiced 3 little songs for the very first German TV appearance. We made a session in the rehearsal room, and there was an original drum set, a very old one, very damaged, not very nice to play. It was not fun, yeah, but I had to do my work. And suddenly I found a little box inside of one edge of the room, and there was only written waltz and beat and slow fox, beat 1 and beat 2. That made me interested. And I said, what is that? And Florian said, that's a rhythm machine, very old one, old-fashioned, but one of the first. It runs automatically. You only can choose the volume and the tempo. And I said, please connect it to an amplifier. And it was boom, chuck, boom, boom, chuck, boom, boom, chuck, only that inside, you know. Very little childish sounds. And I said, it would be nice to play them only one by one, not the automatically things. And so you can do that. On top of that, there are some buttons, you know. You might boom, boing, Nothing else was inside. And I said, that's crazy. So I don't have to sweat anymore, you know, because drumming normally is a strong work. I was sitting there only on the little machine like boom, chak, boom, boom, pss, boom, chak, boom, boom, pss. I said, oh, crazy how it is. And can we make some effects on it? And we had a small echo tape, you know, Echolette, a German company. And suddenly it had a space. It made boom, 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 cha, 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 tss, 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 you know. I said, this is crazy, this is good, you know. Everyone was interested, and Ralph, or maybe Florian, said, can we use that instead of an original drum set? This is boring now, this is mid-age, throw it away. Within 3 days, I built with another friend of mine that very first drum pad on a wooden plate with, I think, 6 or 8 round-shaped metal plates connected by wires to small metal sticks to play it, standing up like very elegant, you know, without sweating.
Techno is based solely on technology. Technology is something that, I mean, you know, like the crazy Unabomber trying to get rid of technology, no way.
Technology really helps. It doesn't define the scene, but it's the thing that's helped it spread like wildfire.
She's my best friend, and I met her through online. Fucking every one of my friends is a mad online kid.
The Japanese people have made clever little machines that you all run around freaking out about. And also a few drugs help, and ecstasy came along with the sampler, and bang.
With each new machine, we find a new random element to the machine. So, yeah, I mean, the machines change what we do, but also what we listen to.
It could not physically be played, a lot of that material. You cannot physically play those kind of drum rolls, those sort of bass lines.
Ding, 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 ding. You know, so much more precise than a human could ever do it. That sounds cool. It doesn't sound like people.
The advent of the sampler has made all things possible. And in a way, I think a lot of modern dance music is disappointing because all things are possible, and I don't think it's necessarily being used in that way.
There's obviously a potential in samplers for cutting up reality and building a reality that never existed before. And it teaches you and encourages you to understand the malleability of reality. And for the first time ever, every single recorded sound or sound that can be generated is available to us, ultimately, to be utilized for something we can call music.
I think what's happened now is that the turntable is like an instrument because of the lack of education, and we've actually gone backwards, devolution, like Mark Mothersbaugh believes. We've gone backwards, and now it's like, because we have no education, we're using simpler things to make instruments, like the turntable. It's actually a complicated thing, but it's an easy way to get your message out. I communicate best with my records and my tongue.
It's quite hard. I mean, I'm a total technophobe. Like, I can't even work an answer machine, so it's like it's quite hard being in the studio all the time.
Okay, I'm Heather Hart, and I own Sonic Groove Records along with Frankie and Adam. And I'm a DJ, and I make music as well. Personally, I don't use any computers. The equipment that I use and that I collect is analog. It's very warm, it's very fat sounds, and you just can't get that out of the newer machines. I get asked to play at a lot of parties at all-female party, we want you to play, and I refuse them all. But I take the interviews because I notice that I'm the only woman in all the interviews that says I have no problem being a woman DJ. I I'm hired as much as any guy, and that's based on my talent and what I do, and not because of my sex. I'm not held back in any way. And I resent that, you know, like other women saying, oh, we're oppressed and, you know, we can't get hired because we're women, and that's not true at all. It's not. And there's a really underground scene also, and that's the heart of it. That's where the innovations come from. So we will create a sound, and then by the time it reaches the masses and the masses are getting really into it, we're already on to the next thing, and that's what they might get into later. And that's what techno music is all about. It's about the constant change, and I think that's why the major labels haven't been able to grasp it yet.
College for jazz guitar, hardcore focus, started 4 years, have a bachelor's degree in jazz guitar. After I got out of the school, something happened to me. I'm repulsed by acoustic instruments now. I really respect them, and I feel I can say that because I put in that time, and everything I know is derived from what I studied, but I feel that in order to go further with music, I gotta take what I've learned from the people before me and apply it to what's available to me now. And a piece of wood with strings on it, to me, is like washing your clothes in the brook. There's 12 chords. How many times are you gonna play them? If I know there's no end, uncharted, something different, anything can happen, anything can change, that excites me.
You guys communicate a lot. What are you guys talking about?
Where's the flashlight?
A lot of the times,
How much time's left?
This is like a universal language techno. I mean, if you could like get beamed Star Trek into a club in another country, you almost wouldn't know. You know what I mean? You're in another country. You're like, it's like this universal vibe that everybody has, and they're all understanding it. You know what I mean? Which is the beauty of it.
You got a culture that's happening from South Korea to you know, the middle, to Lebanon, to all over South America, and you have, you know, it's music for the masses.
Rave culture is supposed to be the underground thing going on. Whilst, I mean, if you go to a real rave, there's 20,000 people there. Cannot possibly call that underground anymore.
Berlin's Love Parade, when there's 1.5 million people, was an amazing sight to see.
The more popular this music gets and the more exposure it gains, the more the clutches of showbiz grab into its sides, and you know, it's the music business at that point.
The music industry tells you have to climb, you know, you have to ascend, you have to get like the fat paycheck. So I stopped, you know, my own little independent thing that I was doing for artists that I loved, and I went to work at the record label where they have the health insurance. And the guy was like, well, we're primarily a metal and rock label, but we want to be doing some independent dance music stuff, and we're going to tie it in by saying, you know, hardcore techno is extreme music just like metal is extreme music, and we don't really know anything about techno.
You know, I think you just need to do one song, you know, baby, baby, baby. I don't mean maybe, just once, and that's it. You're gonna go straight to the top.
Wait for the haunting. For the fright.
To me, selling out it's not about making money. It's just selling what you believe in to all the peoples, and then not like following up on that. Like, if you believe in something really strong and you can make money on it, that's cool. But if you start working with these other companies and they start like making you mutate into things that you don't believe in, then you're a sellout.
So Ronnie, you're selling out. Selling out? I hope I am, because damn, if I walk into a record shop and see my records on the shelf still, I must be doing something wrong.
Always question, first of all, and most of all, yourself. Why am I doing this? Am I doing this just because it's easy, because I did it last time, because I have to pay the rent? That's not the right reason. It just never is. Good art, good music, good experiences, change do not come from paying the rent. They don't come from being on MTV for 5 minutes. You know, they just don't.
You don't have to fuck over people to survive. That's what makes us sick about the real world and about the way that it operates, is that people screw people over every day in the name of business or in the name of, manifest destiny. Do things that are positive, constructive, not destructive.
Well, I think we're doing, what the bigger difference is that we're trying to make our own network that isn't exactly working for a big company, doing such and such a thing, but we're working for each other.
I could buy into the cash cow, go get a job at Virgin in like the dance music department, but I'd rather just, be happy doing what I'm doing,
Right.
And I feel like it'll come around.
Are you able to make a living at it?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I've made it. I'm doing music, and I'm not holding out a day job. I've made it.
I'm not out there trying to get the Mercedes-Benz or like the whatever.
That's all luxury items on top. It's not the thing. And there's this constant and increasing pressure in this world to think that the apparently material side effects are the actual process, and they're not.
To me, my idea is like MTV Unplugged. You unplug the TV from the wall, you put in your favorite mixtape, not my favorite, not Frankie Bones, it could be anybody. Put the mixtape in, put it on, and there you go. MTV Unplugged for 90 minutes. That's the show. You make it what you want to make it.
Let me tell you all I want from you, Heidi. I don't want nothing else from you apart from this one thing I'm asking from you, okay? I'm asking just this one.
My name is Robin Rambo, aka Scanner. I take a little sample of the size of a videotape. I use a keyboard which you play with a pen and you draw the chords on and you draw the rhythms on and so on. I use a shortwave radio, I use a Discman, I use a DAT machine, I use the theremin, the scanner. Lots of really kind of very tiny things that fit in one silver case, and I can be like a travelling salesman, and travel from city to city and play. It's like improvising with another musician, essentially. The machine taps the airwaves, it essentially draws down these indiscriminate signals that float above us the whole time. And I never know what I'm going to catch.
Instant, uncontrollable riots among young people on every planet.
I mean, when I play live, it's always all the shortwave radio, all the scanned voices, the mobile conversations and so on. It's entirely live. It's a risk I take. I always vow never to put stuff on tape in those situations, because the work I do in some sense is a reflection of the environment I'm in, the kind of space I'm in. So if there are no voices, nothing's happening, there's nothing I can do about it. That's merely a reflection of where I am in this real time. So last night, lots of stuff happening in New York. And there's always stuff happening in New York. Can't argue with it. So maybe pick up a voice and somebody's shouting, which makes me play really aggressively. Or somebody's talking about something very dreamily and slowly, so I start playing very quiet music and so on. Now, the ideas around Scanner surrounding music, but also the ideas of public space and private space and the issues of surveillance and our position in our kind of society today. I mean, kind of big questions which aren't always music related, and that wasn't the original aim of the Scanner work. It's kind of been born out of the work I'm doing. I think it's just important that in some sense electronic music and electronic artists act as some kind of catalyst for people just to open up the avenues of sound and see what else is out there, to open their eyes and open their ears a bit wider.
I work for a billing company and we scan documents all night. I work graveyards, so raving is perfect because I can stay up all night.
I work at Wiener Schnitzel.
Actually, I'm a receptionist, and it's really funny because I live like two separate lives.
I'm going to school at DeVry, taking electronics engineering.
beautiful about the rave scene that girls do not feel like a meat market. You don't go up and say some cheesy line, hey baby, you know, what's your sign, or you know, some stupid thing like that. No, you know, you ask them honestly their name and you start talking to them.
The first orgasm I experienced on the dance floor was to Josh Frank, because he is just like amazing with the turntables, amazing, and like the energy you feel, and it just got me there, man. I've had an orgasm on the dance floor, I will admit.
My big thing tonight is if I can strip down butt naked and run around.
Yeah?
I really want to do that.
Have you ever had sex to this kind of music?
Yes, no.
It's awesome.
No, yes. I can't say it, but
It's awesome.
it's good.
What makes it so awesome?
When you get into the groove and you start banging to the bass beats.
You don't have to look cool, you know, I mean, nobody's ever talked shit and said, hey, look at that fucker trying to dance, he looks stupid. But I think that there's definitely a lot of alien activity. I saw these two stars and they were getting closer and I was like, whoa, what's up with that? And then all of a sudden one of them started rotating around the other one as they were getting closer, and it just kind of took off. It was like nothing I've ever seen before, and I was completely sober.
I got my wings at Natural Wonders. They were $10, and I added the elastic myself. And the jewels.
You know, I mean, at least, you know, when I'm 60 years old, I'll be able to look back on these times and say, well, at least I had fun. If I do punch the clock 9 to 5 for the rest of my life, then at least I have these times to look back on.
E is the drug of choice if you're going to be raving. If you're going to be raving, you shouldn't be doing dust. You shouldn't be doing K.
Tripping on E, listening to the music, feeling the vibes going through your body. You know what I'm saying?
It's like this absolute just like happiness that I didn't even know existed. And it's like, I just feel this closeness with people that I didn't know you could feel. And it's like everyone's just like on the same like level almost. Like everyone's like thinking the same thing. Like you can look at somebody and you just like know. You like just look into their eyes and you just know they're thinking like the same thing.
I think E is definitely the drug that facilitates people coming together and going, hey man, how's it going? You know, you feeling good? You know, yeah, and that breaks down. It really does break down inhibition.
Let's go back to, you know, indigenous cultures, to the ancient civilizations. You know, shamanistically, you know, it was part of the ritual you would take. You know, there were certain drugs that would open up certain levels of consciousness. So when you surrendered yourself into the dance, into the ritual, into the collective organism, you have this, you open yourself up. It's just key.
You should do it too. Here, dude. You should do find everything you want. Whether it's all about drugs or not, it is a safe place to use them. And that's why I have fun. I come here and I get fucked up. I mean, I can't, you know, it's no fun doing that at home. They've got all the stimulation, the lasers, the video, the sound. It's if you're gonna do that shit, this is the best place to do it.
We took a small sampling of hallucinogenic drugs, just to see if they'd work.
Are they?
Not really, no.
I don't do drugs. I don't do drugs, and just, you know, standing next to the speakers, feeling the vibe, and all that sense of vibration, you know, it gives you like this natural high. The music, the trance, non-stop gives you this natural high, and you know, nothing could beat that. I had two cousins that were ravers. One died of an overdose. Coming home from a rave, he went to his room, fell asleep, never woke up.
I've seen kids drop dead in front of me, you know, and it's not a pretty thing. It's not a pretty thing to see somebody flopping around like a fish dying in front of you.
Don't mix drugs. Not good.
It's called polydrug use, and they don't settle for one drug. They take uppers and downers in a combination. It really wreaks havoc with your body.
The nervous system is given two contrary signals, and there are several people a week now being taken into mental hospitals with absolute nervous collapse because they mix speed, cocaine, and ketamine.
One of the kids who died and was brought back to life in GHB drank 12 beers and popped a handful of Dexatrim. You know, there's no law that you can put on the books that's going to prevent somebody from doing something that dumb.
I think now the focus is on just people hearing about this, the media hype, drugs and this and that, and the kids come out and it's really not cool because they're not getting into it for the right reason.
It's almost like the media kind of reinforces what it's complaining about in a sense.
Yeah, definitely.
It's almost
the
like
media
it's telling 14-year-old kids, if you want to get fucked up, go out to a rave, and then all the screw-ups go out to our parties and then wreck our parties, and they're like, oh, look at all the dumb ravers on drugs. It's like, wait a minute, you were telling them that that's where they should go if they want to be on drugs.
This is like the drug sex party of the year, and kids are getting naked and taking drugs and passing out, and you won't believe this stuff. It's just this total great picture. I almost want to go just for that. Wow, that sounds kind of cool.
They put it in Newsweek. They went in there. They talked to one 15-year-old kid who was like, I come to Jungle Nation to get fucked up or whatever. And then all these kids are like, yeah, now you go to Jungle Nation, and there's all these new school tweakers wearing Hilfiger gear, doing crystal, and you're just like, where do these kids come from? Well, gee, their parents read about it in Newsweek and said to them, you're not going to these parties, are you? Well, they are now.
People do drugs everywhere, and there's just as much a percentage of people doing drugs at a rock concert or a football game or an opera or wherever there are people do drugs, and if they want to do drugs, they're going to do them whether there's a warehouse party or not.
Don't just get hooked on the key, once the door is open, you can get there, you can cross the bridge, by yourself.
Doing that step every week, I don't think you're going to get the experience that you get out of it if you just did it once in a while. It's such a profound experience when you do it once in a while.
It used to be just an E-based thing, and then people realise, oh, actually, if you just dance your socks off without the E, you still get that spiritual stuff, provided you let go.
The music is definitely the key, I mean, my heart is into the music. I'm here for the music. I'm not here for the drugs. I'm just here to listen to the music because the music is my drug,
I'm I sound kind of dull in a way, but I'm interested. I'm somebody who doesn't smoke, I don't drink, I've never drunk alcohol, I've never drunk tea or coffee in my life.
It's hard to stay awake. I'm really tired right now, but it's better than being cracked out on drugs.
I mean, I would be up I remember one time in California being up for 7 days and looking in the mirror saying, who the fuck are you? We're both from New York. He used to eat all my drugs.
The dog?
Yeah, we were both, if the dog was skinny and I was skinny, we were on drugs. But we've been through it all together, and now we're here in Hollywood together. This is Sneakers.
He like it?
He loves it, but he needs to get laid. I had convinced myself that the drugs were necessary, and they're not. The music that I produce without the influence of drugs, I dare you to listen to it on drugs. I don't want to be a preacher because I love drugs, but you can't do it forever. I was born in El Salvador, Central America. A week later, my mom went to Hawaii. I'm a bastard child, and my mom renamed me after a bastard prince.
Who is?
Prince Keoki, who was King Kamehameha, his son. Since I got my first Mr. Microphone, when I was 8 years old, I used to love singing on top of songs. I did karaoke before it was even karaoke. Keoki did karaoke. When I moved from Hawaii to the mainland, I took a course, technical college, a little backtrack here, so that I can learn how to use computers and trace lost baggage.
Huh.
So I did the course in Ontario here, and then they had job placement. And I got this out of an ad in the newspaper in Hawaii. I then went to, the only place they were hiring was TWA in New York. So I said, fine. I had $200. I was rich, I thought. It's like, cool, I'll go there. I was working as a busboy at a club called Danceteria. They wanted me to DJ one night for $50 a night, but I'd have to, call in sick at my other place. I got really frustrated thinking, how can I possibly make a living DJing, throwing records on? I mean, it was to me, getting paid for it was ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, but it's not ridiculous within the context of who's making the money. What's really interesting, the first single I put out for Moonshine was called Caterpillar. And I called it Caterpillar because everywhere I went in the world, I'd be in Iceland, I'd be in Tokyo, I'd be in Singapore, I'd be in Australia. These kids would be doing this little dance, tripping out with a little, and I was like, whoa, you all look like little caterpillars. And it dawned on me that the whole world was doing this, and it wasn't like the twist or the hustle where you learned it. It was instinctual. I'm not really quite sure how flowers grow.
Right.
I used to just go down to the deli and buy them. Now I can grow them myself. I mean, the hippies talked about it for ages. The dawning of the age of Aquarius. It's here, it's coming, 2 years, what, now? It's here, you know? And the kids that are feeling it are, fortunately, abused to the point where they have nothing else to do but believe in something else, because the country and the world has been so abused that it's just gotten to the point where it's just so miserable that it's like nothing you can do to it except listen and be reborn.
Hey, my name's BT, and I make organic electronic music is how I like to describe it. My whole kind of trip is like just about everything that I do on my records is generated by something organic, whether it's my hands, somebody else's hands, a mouth, you know, the cicadas in the woods, whatever it is. You know what I mean? That it's generated by something natural. I have a headset that's a dual hemisphere electroencephalograph made by a company called IBVA, and what it is it's a dual electrode brain scan machine. It reads your brainwave activity. So I'll wear this while I'm working on music a lot of time and scan my own brain states and see what the kind of states that it puts you in when you're making music. And I actually have been experimenting with using it as a MIDI controller because all of the parameters in it you're able to output as continuous controller messages in real time. So I eventually want to use this headset to control lighting rigs, to control visual imagery, to control filter sweeps on my synths for live. It's more about learning how to use it, if you know what I mean. It's like, you know, experimenting with in training to certain brain states. One of my sort of hobbies is I've done a lot of research on photic and auditory driving, which are two really interesting, naturally occurring things that happen in loads of different indigenous music. It's continual stimuli of a certain frequency, and it's always very small frequencies. And what people do is they entrain to that particular brain state that they're being stimulated with, either by photic flashing or by auditory sound. This goes back to, I mean, like, indigenous rituals performed by shaman in the Peruvian Amazon and stuff. They would beat a drum at a certain number of wave cycles per second, usually 4 to 6 wave cycles per second, which is in brain state, which is theta brain state, which is the very creative brain state. And then they'd have someone else, while the shaman was beating the drum, fanning the flames on a fire at the same time, at the same speed, and people would all eventually entrain into this brain state. In modern club culture and in seeing modern club events and modern rave events and things like that, you're seeing people entrained to the same brain state. You've got strobes, you have lighting that everyone's taking in, you have big time photic driving, and the music is auditory driving.
That's why people get so excited for a rock concert and tear up the seats. It's nothing to do with the fact they like Elvis. It's because their metabolism is being governed by the bass and the rhythm and the light. And that's what it's all about. And that's what's interesting with rave and techno culture, is it has reduced down in the West for the first time what is so-called popular music and youth culture to a ritual which admits to and utilizes the most arcane and ancient methods for achievement of altered states and a celebration of that contact with otherness.
Standing in the middle of a dance floor, even if you're if you're on something or if you're not on something. I've had moments where I've just been overwhelmed. Like, you know that chill feeling you get, like the kind of like, you know, the overwhelmed sensation that something wonderful is going on.
There is something there, there's an energy, a vibe that just draws you to it, and it's like a love. It's just pure, it's love, you know? It's a good feeling.
It definitely gets your soul to a level that you can't reach just by, you know, being normal or being a regular person every day.
After you're dancing for like 10 hours straight, you kind of tend to like transcend your normal capabilities.
When we talk about these altered states of consciousness, we're really talking about changing the way that we perceive time. You're listening to these drums, it's really loud, your whole body's vibrating, and pretty soon you lose track of time, and your rhythm sort of starts to sync up with the rhythm of the drums, and when you're with a group of people and everybody syncs up, then you can connect with everybody on a higher level.
Jesus and the apostles used to do dance rituals, and they used to embody spirit through dance. And the Last Supper was not about sitting down around the table and breaking host, it was about getting together and dancing.
It was a total, like, as close as you can get to God. This is the closest I've ever felt to being with God.
Rave music and techno music and the new dance music is the flowering of new spirituality.
Well, Earth Dance happened last year in October. It was October the 4th, and it was the global dance party for planetary peace. It was 21 locations around the world hooked up on one day. So the highlight of the event was this one track that was played at the same time by every single DJ. So all dance floors would synchronize, make an ambient track, so it's just like a linking track, an ambient link with a prayer in it. It was just invoking peace for the planet, peace for, you know, Tibet, and peace for ourselves, you know. So every Tibetan organization in every country was involved with each event. And the Germans, they're incredible. I mean, they worked with this group who are building homes for Tibetan children in Tibet, whose parents get taken away by the Chinese government and put in jail, so these kids have nowhere to go, so they end up dying in winter. We went to Dharamsala in India, where the Dalai Lama lives, and we had an audience with him.
The youth, generally speaking, open-minded, and also I think have the courageous sort of attitude to change.
Your consciousness is expanded because of this supernatural thing that happened to you, and that's what happened for me.
It changed me forever. I was never the same after I went to my first rave. Changed me.
Before I was in the scene, I was a little punk, you know what I'm saying? I was a little gang member. Just like, I don't know, I was just a little hooligan, I was a little punk. But now it's like, I can walk up to anybody and totally be social, you know what I'm saying? Be like, what's up, how you doing? And it's a good feeling to be able to be like that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it makes me feel good to be able to go up to somebody without being a little punk and want to bite their head off.
I'm a lot more accepting of other people and other types, and I respect like people for what they are.
It's about living life creatively, and you know, like that's where the true fulfillment comes, is in making an interesting life for yourself and allowing other people to make an interesting life for themselves as well.
If you really want to change your life, I mean, it's like, you know, you get up, you do something in a day, and then you go to sleep, and then you're like, oh, you know, today sucked, but tomorrow's going to be another day. And then chances are it goes that same way, just again, like the last day. And it's like, you know, if you really want to break that pattern, don't go to sleep. You know, stay up all night. Find some place where somebody's going to stay up all night. Watch the sun come up.
a suburban boy who hopes he'll see a nice girl. And that's all he ever is consciously aware of. He is still touching the divine. And the resonance and the reverberation of that and what it might illuminate, we don't really know yet.
You can't put onto a CD bass bins rumbling through your guts at 5 in the morning.
I mean, you can't bottle the feeling of just total euphoria. Like when a DJ just brings you like to this level where you're just like totally out of your head.
You should let go of all your inhibitions and dance your fucking socks off. Because that letting go process will open you up.